Good morning, my dear students. I welcome you all in this e-lecture today. The topic is wastewater management. In first e-lecture, we discussed about wastewater management, and this is the process of removing contaminants, waste materials from wastewater through physical, chemical and biological process. We have learned various steps of wastewater management, that is, collection and transportation. We learned about primary, secondary, and tertiary treatment briefly. We learned screening, scent, and grit separator, and skimming in detail. After going through this e lecture, you will be able to understand primary, secondary, and tertiary treatment in detail. And starting with sedimentation, first of all, it is important to understand how sedimentation works in the treatment of wastewater. This is the last step of primary treatment, and this is of two types. One is plain sedimentation, and another is sedimentation with coagulation. So, first, we discuss here plain sedimentation. This is physical treatment where gravity is used to remove suspended solids from wastewater. Suspended solids that have a specific gravity similar to water remain suspended, and heavier particles may settle down. Solid particles entrained by the turbulence of moving water may be removed naturally by sedimentation in the still water of lakes and ocean. Settling tanks are tanks constructed for the purpose of removing sludge by sedimentation. Clarify are tanks built with mechanical means for continuous removal of solids being deposited by sedimentation. As we see here in this diagram, influent raw sewage water is going from this side and sewage sludge is forming, and this we can take it out from this outlet. Clarification does not remove dissolved species. Now we discuss sedimentation with coagulation. Suspended colloidal particles can be removed by adding some special type of chemicals which are known as coagulants, and these coagulants react with water to form gelatinous precipitate which entraps colloidal particles. Examples of various coagulants are sodium aluminate, alum, ferrous sulfate, and in this picture we can see how a coagulant is working and how a sedimentation process is going on with the help of coagulants. So in the first chamber, you see we add coagulant, then coagulant reacts with water and form gelatinous precipitate, and which traps impurities. And further, when all the impurities are settled down with precipitates, we can take them out as sludge. Now, this is secondary treatment. The secondary treatment can be defined as treatment of wastewater by a process involving biological treatment. The settled wastewater is introduced into the specially designed bioreactors, where under aerobic conditions, the organic matter is utilized by microorganisms such as bacteria. The bioreactor affords appropriate bioenvironmental conditions for the microorganisms to reproduce and use the dissolved organic matter as energy for themselves. The bioconversion of dissolved organic matter into thick bacterial biomass can fundamentally purify the wastewater, and this biomass is separating out as sludge. We can categorize the secondary treatment into two types. First is suspended growth system, where the biomass is suspended in the water, and the example is activated sludge process. The second type is fixed or attached culture system, where biomass is attached or may be fixed, and the examples are trickling filter method and rotating biological contractors. Activated sludge process. So, activated sludge process is a type of wastewater treatment process for treating sewage or industrial wastewater using aeration and a biological flow composed of bacteria. In this process, the aerobic bacteria present in the aeration tank biochemically oxidizes organic matter present in sewage wastewater. As a result, more and more microbes are produced. The sludge gets settled here in the clarifier settler tank. This sludge contains hungry microbes, which is pumped again as recycled sludge to the aeration tank back. And this recycled sludge is more activated form, hence this whole process is known as activated sludge process. And this sludge acts as a seed of microbes here. This is trickling filter method. It consists of a fixed bed of rocks, coke, gravel, slag, polyurethane, foam, ceramic, over which a layer of microbial slime biofilm grows, covering the bed of media. And this biofilm is known as zooglial layer. The entire system is maintained in aerobic conditions by allowing free circulation of air. The wastewater is sprinkled over the bed using the rotating distribution arm and allows to trickle. During trickling, biological film consumes the organic matter present in wastewater. If the thickness of biofilm increases, the separation or detachment of the film takes place, and this process is known as slowing. And after slowing, this becomes part of the secondary sludge. So here is a pictorial presentation of a trickling filter method. So we say this is rotating distribution arm. Influent is going from this direction, and with the arrow it's reaching here. Air is, we are adding air just to provide aerobic conditions, and this is the media where a zooglial layer is formed. Now with this rotating distribution arm, water is sprinkled over this media and microbes attack on that biological matter, and sludge is formed, which is again separated as sludge from the clarifier. This is rotating biological contractor method. It consists of a series of closely spaced parallel discs, just like our bangles, mounted on a rotating shaft which is supported just above the surface of the wastewater. Microorganisms grow on the surface of the disc where biological degradation of the wastewater pollutants takes place. Biological growth is attached to the surface of the disc and forms slime layer. About 40% of the disk area is immersed in the wastewater, and the disk contact the wastewater and atmospheric air for oxidation as it rotates. While the lower half of the rotating disk will have contact with the wastewater to be treated, which is known as eating phase, and upper half of the rotating disk will access to the air and be called as breathing phase. The microbial community is alternatively exposed to atmosphere and the wastewater, allowing both circulation and assimilation of dissolved organic pollutants and nutrients for their degradation. So, this was the secondary treatment. Now, we discuss what the tertiary treatment is. Tertiary treatment is the final cleaning process that improves wastewater quality before it is reused, recycled, or discharged to the environment. The treatment removes remaining inorganic compounds and substances such as nitrogen and phosphorus. Tertiary treatment is basically done to remove total suspended solids and organic matter. Those are present in effluents after secondary treatment. To remove specific organic and inorganic constituents from industrial effluent to make it suitable for reuse, to make treated wastewater suitable for land application purpose or directly discharge it into the water bodies like rivers, lakes, etc. The various tertiary treatment methods are filtration, air or steam stripping, biological processes, adsorption, membrane separation process, ion exchange process, precipitation, oxidation and reduction, and disinfection. This is a list of various treatment methods of tertiary treatment methods and what the impacts are. So, filtration is done to remove suspended solid particles. Adsorption is done to remove dissolved organics, including VOCs, coloring, and odoriferous smelly compounds. Biological processes are being done to remove nitrogenous and phosphorus compounds. Membrane separation process such as microfiltration, ultrafiltration are being done to remove dissolved organics and inorganics. Ion exchange process is done to remove dissolved anions and cations. Precipitation is done to remove heavy metal ions and some other organic substances. Oxidation reduction is done to remove organic and some inorganics. And disinfection, this is a common term, this is done to remove microorganisms including virus. So what we have studied, what we came to know in this e-lecture, we learned about sedimentation, which was the last step of primary treatment, then secondary treatment, and in secondary treatment we learned about activated sludge process, trickling filter process, and rotating biological contractors in detail, and then we finally learned about tertiary treatment. Thank you.